All right, hey guys, this is block 6 from topic 4. You should be on page 119 in your workbook, so if you're not there, you need to get there now. First thing we're going to look at, a little pregame pep talk here. So yesterday in block 5, we looked at, trying to refresh my memory, we looked at these girls selling super sour lemonade to raise money for uniforms and a summer camp that they're wanting to do. And they sold the super sour lemonade, and they were wanting to make the lemonade quickly, so we looked at percent of air and what was acceptable for the air. Now today we're going to focus on the money that they're raising from that problem. And when they're raising money, what are some things the girls need to know to set the, well, girls, there was one, two, I guess girls and guy, will need to know to set the price of the lemonade. So maybe pause the video for a second and come up with some ideas of what they need to take into account when selling a product. And I have some hidden terms underneath here that I hope gets brought up in your discussion. All right, you should have discussed that they need to make a profit because they have some expenses that they have to pay for, like the ingredients for the lemonade, the cups, and maybe they're taking a commission, which means they're paying themselves. Maybe they had to rent a space, and they also needed to know how much they sold. They needed to keep track of that. So that was a few terms I hope that came up. If not, we'll be discussing them a little bit more in this lesson. All right, so let's introduce our problem here for today. It says the team is ready to make some money selling lemonade. A local business donates the sugar, lemons, and cups. All right, that's good. So they don't have to pay for that. So they will not have to, pay for those. Sounds like an echo. But they will have some expenses to deduct from the money they raise. They must pay the school a 15% fee for using the concession stand. That's not nice. Also, each salesperson will get 10% of the amount she sells as a commission. All right, so these are our two expenses. The fee for using the concession stand, which was 15%. Then she has a commission that is 10% of the sales. All right, so will they make enough money for the new uniforms if the uniforms cost $1,000? So that's kind of the problem we're looking at today. We need to make enough for the uniforms, so I need a profit of $1,000. And then commission, if you've never heard of commission is like paying somebody. That's what the people working is getting money for. That's called a commission. All right, so says first you will estimate and then calculate the profits from the concession stand at one game based on sales, commissions, and fees. If the total sales from Haley's register was $242.50, what is a reasonable estimate for the amount of her commission? Okay, so we're going to look at Haley's commission. And when we do that, we realize this is what her register had, was $242.50. what will be the profit from the first register after Haley's commission of 10%. Okay, so the profit is the money left over after she pays herself 10%. So taking a look at that, this was her total sales, which was 100%. The profit went down 10% because she had to give herself commission. Over here, they are calculating how they're getting 10%. So they do 10% as a decimal, multiplying it times the amount. They find there that her commission is $24.25. So they're subtracting that from her total sales. That's how much she's taken away from her register to pay herself, and so they're left with a profit of $218.25. Now, we know 10% are easy to work with in our head. We probably wouldn't have done all this work and probably would have just bounced our decimal forward and known that it was $24.25 for her 10% commission. Alright, so finally, to answer this question here, which is not in your workbook, we're just discussing, they wanted to know what was the profit from the first register after her commission, after she paid herself, and it was $218.25. Her total sales was $242.50, but she had to take away her commission. Alright. Here is an alternate way of solving this. We already came up with one alternate way of doing 10% in our head and then taking it away from the $242.50. But there is another way we could solve it. So if you don't like this method, another way is they realize that 100% minus the 10%, they're left with 90%. So I could kind of set up a proportion to solve this, or multiply and have an equation. And they found the amount that way. I probably would have set it up a little different. Let me go to I'll just write on the slide. I probably, now I done forgot the problem. They had a 10% commission. Well, I know that's 90% is going to be the total sales, so 90 out of 100. And I know the grand total that was in the cash register was $242.50. I probably would have set it up this way instead of an equation, because to me this is easier to work. That's just my personal opinion. You could have done it this way, you could have done it like the previous slide, or like I showed you on my Active Inspire slide, or we had in our mental math that we did that we found in our head. So all different ways we can go about solving and finding commission. Now, let's see, we're on slide 3. Now, that was her 10% commission. Now we need to look at that 15% concession stand fee. We've got to calculate that. Okay, so we've already calculated commission. Now we need to deduct the concession stand fee. And back at the beginning of the problem, it says the concession stand fee and the commission is based on the total sales. Well, some people are confused as to if $242.50 is my total sales, or is $218.25 my total sales. Total sales is everything, nothing deducted. So it's your grand total amount with nothing taken out. So both is using this grand total amount. I'm not using this $218, even though I just found that as Haley's commission. Now I need to use that to find the 15% concession stand fee. So I'm using this amount. So their method of solving this is using that bar again. They need to move it down 15% from where it was. So they've moved it down a total of 25%. Your 10% commission, 15% concession stand fee, and here was the amount of the 10% commission from your grand total. 15% concession stand fee came out to be $36.38. We'll talk about how that was found in just a second, because we don't always have this nice little bar that we get to move down to see what the amount would be. So they've found that 15% of concession stand fee would be $36.38. Well, if I did that mental math way, I know 10% is $24.25. I need another half of that added to it. So I'd look for half of that, add it to $24.25, and I would get $36.38. And they see that the total profit ends up being $181.87. Our total sales was $242.50. That was a difference, but I had to use this money to pay different things, like my fee and my commission. Alright, so let's practice using some of these numbers. Now we're looking at Vanessa's register. Her total sales was $321.50. It says to estimate and calculate the amount that will be deducted for 15% commission, concession stand fee, and Vanessa's 10% commission. Then we're going to find a total profit. So this is going along with your book. And for some reason, they put these in different orders than what your book does. So I'm first looking at problem 2 in your book. Problem 2 should talk about the commission for Vanessa. And commission for Vanessa is 10%. So I could get my calculator or set up a proportion and see what 10% is. Or I could do my 10% trick. I know 10% of this, I move the decimal forward one spot. So 10% would have to be $32.15. And you can write that for problem 2, right? I could have set up a proportion to figure this out. I could have done it mentally. I could have used my calculator, an equation. There's many ways to find this, whatever way you ended up liking it. Now, going to question 1, I need to find my concession stand fee. Well, I know my concession stand fee is 15%. So it's a 10%, which is the same as commission, but it's another 5% of that. So what I would do, let me get a blank slide here. I know I need 15% of 100. And I need to know another amount. Her total sales was $321.50. So that was the total. That was a grand total, $321.50. I can do my proportional trick. Multiply those two, divide by 100. When I do that, I get 48.23. So you can write that for your work on problem 1. We got $23. Okay, moving to the profit. This is coming from question 3. Our profit is our total sales minus our expenses. So these two are our expenses. I'm going to get my calculator out. You can write this on your problem 3. We're going to take $321.50. So write $321.50. And write minus, we're going to take away $32.15. Then we're going to take away $48.23. And I am left with $241.12. $241.12 ends up being my profit. So I can hit submit, and we got an excellent. So that is what Vanessa's register looked like. Alrighty, moving right along. Problem number 4 in your workbook wants to know what is the total profit from the 2 registers after the commission and concession stand fee was paid. So they want to know total profit from Vanessa's and Haley's. Well, to find total profit, we're going to combine their profits together. Profit Vanessa got, the profit Haley got, we add them together, and this is how much money they both earned. So that is your problem 4. All right, moving along, problem 5, I'm going to work over here. It says you calculated the fees and commissions for each girl individually and then added to find the total profits. Can you get the same answer by adding all the sales, then finding the fees and commissions and profits? So they want to know, we did it individually. We did one register, calculated the commission and profits. Another register calculated the commission and profits. They want to add both registers together and just find one total commission, one total profit, and see if it equals the same amount. So let's try that. So we know that Haley had $242.50 in her register. Vanessa, you should be writing this by the way, had $321.50 in her register. When I combined these two, there was a total of $564 in both registers before any deductions, before any expenses were paid. So what this question was saying, they want to know if I can just use this amount to find commission and profits. Before I do that, I want to see what I got for commissions individually, because I'm going to have to compare the numbers. Well, commissions were 10%, so individually I saw this was $24.25. The commission from Vanessa, we got $32.15. And when I add those together, I get $56.40. So if I was to find 10% commission from this grand amount, I should get $56.40, because that would mean I'm doing the same thing. Well, 10% of this means bouncing my decimal forward one, and it looks like I do get $56.40, $56.40. They are the same, so you can do it as a whole amount instead of calculating it individually. So they say, yes, this process results in the same answer, although there might be a small difference resulting from rounding. So they're talking about sometimes your decimals, you will end up having to round it a penny. So you might only be 1 penny off in some cases, but that's very rare that that happens, so it's okay that you do it separately. So the fees and commissions are based on the same amount. So basically all of this is saying it's the same, and we calculated it to prove why they were the same. You don't have to write all of that. All right, let's take a look at number 6. It says after 3 games, the total sales from lemonade was $1,206. The new uniforms cost $1,000. Can the girls buy the uniforms now? Okay, so after 3 games, that's the amount of money that they raised. I need to take off commission and the 15% fee for using the gym. So I need to calculate that. So I'm going to calculate right here the commission, which was 10%. Well, 10% of this grand amount is just bouncing the decimal forward 1. Or I could sit here and do a big proportional problem, but I like my math trick, so I'm going to go with that. Bounced it forward 1, and I get $120.60 would be how much I'm losing for commission. Then fees, we need to look at that. That was 15%. 15%. I'm going to write it as a proportion to solve it, just because I like solving it that way. And I know this is my grand amount, so it's my whole amount. So I have a proportion to solve. So I'm going to multiply, then divide by 100, and I see I get that's $180.90. Okay, so I need to see if I have enough to buy uniforms. That's $1,000. So I need to take the $1,206 and subtract 180.90 and 120.60. Subtracting that, and I end up getting $904.50. So I end up still not having enough to buy the uniforms. I'm getting close. All right, our last problem here, problem 7. Let's see what fancy wording they have. No, they would have to pay $180.90 to the school and commissions totaling $140.60, and we were right on everything, so the answer was no. All right, problem 7. The girls received $250 in tips. Man, that must be nice. If the total sales from the lemonade after 3 games was $1,206, what percent of sales were they given in tips? All right, so I want to see what percent is tips. So I'm looking for a percent here. They didn't even give me a percent. So whenever I have my part over whole equals a percent over 100, they clearly say I'm looking for a percent, so I know I'm not going to have a number there. So setting up my fraction, I know it's over 100. So they had to have given me a part and a whole. Well, the whole amount that they made was $1,206. The part was $250 in tips. So when I'm looking for a percent here, I'm going to cross or multiply that, divide by that whopping number. Look at my calculator here. I cannot calculate those in my head. So 100 times 250. We're going to divide by 1206. And I get 20.7. Well, this is a percent. So I could say it's 20.7%. I could even say it's 21%. So what percent of sales were given in tips? 21% was what the tips equaled. So if I looked at this, they set it up as an equation first, then they used the proportion. Oh, and they rounded to the nearest percent. They didn't tell us we had to, but it's a good thing we did. It was 21%. This still could have been correct in my book because it was rounded to the tenths place. If they told me to round to a specific spot, then that's where this would be marked wrong. Alright, you have problems 9 through 12 to practice. Again, I won't be checking these until Tuesday, so have those ready along with Block 5's homework for me to check. And like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and thanks for listening. Peace out, home dogs.